Dr. Rupa Huq.
Thanks. Yeah, good to see you, and good to see someone with a relevant CV in a post like this, which I think you've outlasted the Education Secretary many, many times already, and that's all good. I just wanted to say, DCMS is a bit of a quangocracy. It's known as a bit of a powerhouse for those public appointments. Can you tell us what your priorities are for making public appointments?
Yes, making sure that we get the right people in the right roles with the right experience and knowledge to bring to those roles so that we can always hit the ground running. There is a great deal of arm's length bodies that are appointed by the department, so there's a huge level of responsibility in making sure that we fill those people. Then we don't just fill them with the same pool of people, that we're also getting that wealth of knowledge and expertise from around the UK, from all walks of life, and increasing the diversity that is coming to those roles, not by positive discrimination, but by removing some of the barriers that have been in place. And we're already working on a plan to assure that that happens, such as training and mentoring and making sure that we promote these roles better around the UK, and that we're reaching the people that potentially haven't been hearing about these opportunities in the past, hence why we've been getting some criticism previously of the same pool of people applying for these roles.
Yeah, because we have seen comments from the department before that it's disappointing at the lack of diversity. So are these things being advertised wider? Because
yes.
Also social class is another factor within
yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we should have individuals in these roles that are reflective of broader society, but also that can bring that wealth of experience and knowledge. So we have a plan in place that we are executing as of now to rectify this situation by a multitude of different things, including comms, getting that message out there to everybody, but also knocking down some of those barriers that are preventing some of these individuals from applying in the first place.
The pre-appointments procedure has been a bit controversial with the Ofcom one, the Charity Commissioner. Are you looking at reforming that?
Well, we follow the governance code in relation to appointments, and we go through the correct procedure every time and make sure that we are comfortable that the individual is the right person for the role, and we'll continue to do that as we go forward.
And on budget matters, have you had discussions with the Chancellor about changes to the budget? Because it's often seen as a bit of a soft touch, low-hanging fruit.
I think that the department it really punches above its weight, doesn't it? It's a true engine of growth, which is what I want the department to be known as, which sometimes it's not known as, but actually it is also a department that affects everybody's lives on a daily basis in many different ways. So proportionally, that budget is smaller than others when you consider that weight, both from a cultural point of view and an economic point of view. But our budgets have been set, and we have a great deal of headroom to do a great deal to fulfil the objectives that we set out and we pledged to do in the last spending review. And we have a very ambitious plan as is, which is deliverable within our current spending review budget.
What do you think are the most sort of difficult decisions coming up in the in-tray from a... Go on, you can...
I wasn't going to judge the question. I was going to say practically everything is tricky in relation to my department because, as I said a moment ago, we are the department that is making decisions in relation to everybody's lives on a daily basis. We've just had the debate around the online safety bill yesterday, and obviously that was in some ways controversial in some aspects of the bill, but I think by the amendments that we laid, those common sense amendments, we've managed to rebalance that. We have, of course, gambling white paper, which we will be getting out in the coming weeks. We're also getting out the fan-led review in the coming weeks. So we have a number of things on the books. So one of the challenges, I guess, is making sure that we're pouring out the stuff, but also that we're doing it of a high quality, that we're engaging everybody, and we're taking people with us, because these are things that impact people's lives, including everybody's life in this room.
You're fighting to protect that funding for the sector?
Yes. The funding is not being eroded. The government fully appreciates and recognises the value of all these funding streams, particularly now more than ever. As we face a cost of living crisis, it is important that people have outlets like culture and sport, etc.
The Arts Council cuts have been controversial. I'm pleased that Gunnersbury Park in my patch has managed to be recognised as a national portfolio organisation, and it's got a bit of dosh off of that. But I do worry about new venues. There's two. I asked in questions the other day about them in my seat. They're never going to get these sort of recognised, long-standing institution type of funds. And they do have soaring bills and just the general post-COVID footfall problems. What sort of assurances are there for new people?
Yeah, I mean, actually, the greatest assurance I could give is if you look at this round with the Arts Council, 216 new organisations actually entered the portfolio. And we had unprecedented levels of demand applying. So that shows, one, that organisations knew about it to apply in the first place, and two, that these new organisations that hadn't ever been part of the portfolio were getting through and reaching the bar to get the money, which is important, because we shouldn't just be giving money to the same organisations all the time and not allowing those growth organisations to come through and get that money to help them grow even more.
And the Cultural Recovery Fund round 2's just been announced. Those are repayable. I just wondered, to differentiate yourself from what's come before and be a bold new Secretary of State, would you consider sort of foregoing the loans?
Look, as we've outlined a minute ago, we have a very clear spending review settlement from the Treasury, which we can't go over. And if we were to do that, then we would be having to make a difficult decision in another area of the department. And I would argue that whilst I said we've got the room to make these, to deliver on these areas, we certainly don't have the headroom to be doing something like you've just outlined, as much as we'd love to.
Go on. Okay, well, look, also charities, we know that throughout COVID they played a vital role in sort of sustaining communities who are struggling, and they're doing the same again with the cost of living. But they can't pass on those rising energy costs that everyone is facing. I just wondered if there's any plans, if you've had any discussions with the Treasury to protect charities against these kind of things.
Yeah, I and my department are acutely aware of the challenges that charities are facing, and not just charities, but the other organisations that I'm representing, including sporting organisations, leisure centres, etc. The list goes on. The challenges that they're facing with the cost of living, and particularly energy costs, and that's why we introduced that energy bill relief scheme via the Treasury. What we've been doing is they now review that and make their decisions of what the plan is post-March. We've been sharing with them the picture on the ground in all of the sectors that we represent. We've also, my ministerial team have been having, and they will continue to have, roundtable discussions with different representatives from each of the sectors that we represent as well. And we will help them to the best of our ability throughout the next few months and the next year to come.
The door's not completely closed.
Well, this is a decision for Treasury in terms of the future of the energy bill relief scheme. What our job is to work with the Treasury and present the full picture of what is happening on the ground, the challenges that the organisations that we represent would be faced with should they not be part of phase 2, and also assess what else we can do to work with them to support them as they go through these challenges.
Yeah, no, they'd be grateful if you could champion them after the spring. And then just last one from me, it's kind of about educational tourism. So it's this area that sits sort of Home Office and yourselves. But before the end of the List of Travellers scheme, there used to be 1.2 million EU students under the age of 18. So these are kids really visiting every year as part of a youth group tour. So those sort of French exchange things, or even language schools. But that market has decimated by 84% since 2019. I mean, obviously, there's COVID issues as well, but we are losing these people to Ireland, to Malta. You know, the English language is a great cultural export. It's a great soft power thing. Often these kids come back and do their degrees here. It just seems tragic that we're losing all these people, even to Israel, I heard. So other English-speaking, and sometimes not even the first language of English countries, and it's costing billions to our economy. Is there any possibility of discussions with the Home Office to look at loosening maybe immigration requirements? Because I think most of these people have ID cards and not passports, and because it's easier, the visa regime, to go to somewhere else, where Ireland, you can go to all the EU countries as well. It's becoming less and less attractive to come here. Yeah, and they're kids, you know, they're not going to become Uber drivers. They're not the same people coming on dinghies.
I'm aware of this issue and recognise all the benefits that getting these young people into our country pose to us. This is something that one of my junior ministers, the Minister responsible for tourism, is working on with the Home Office, and is in active discussions to see what is possible. So I'm not in a position to promise that we can shift the dial on this, but we're certainly exploring it.
Okay, good.